all, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about a very important subject. No matter if you're an end user or a consultant, that is the release strategy, and we're going to talk about it from the purchase requisition point of view. And we'll go through the concept and configuration steps as well. First of all, a very important question that many of the consultants or end users are asking today is classic release still used in S4HANA? Well, classic release strategy is still fully supported for procurements document in SAP S4HANA. Many customers keep using it because it is simple, well understood, and sufficient for straightforward approval by value and organization level scenarios. So, if you are a consultant, don't remove it from your skills toolbox. Uh, it is true that flexible workflow is SAP's newer S4 HANA specific framework built on the business workflow engine, and it is configured via Fiori apps. Flexible workflow offers a more dynamic routing, that is parallel approvals, ad hoc approvers, substitution rules, condition based agent determination without needing classification. But just from the real life scenarios, let's say, if you are implementing Greenfield, SAP's direction clearly favors flexible workflow for new builds. But plenty of live S4HANA systems still run classic release strategy in production because migrating isn't mandatory. Before jumping to the system, let's go a little bit through the concept itself. So, a release strategy is a process whereby an approver verifies document data and authorizes the purchase. SAP provides two types of the release procedures. First of all, we have the procedure without classification. This is to be set only for item level releases. That is can be used only in purchase requisition, as it is an internal document, and it can be set using the following four criteria, that is plant value, material group, and account assignment category. The other one is the one with classification, and it can be used for PRs, POs, RFQ, schedule agreements. That is, more criteria can be set, and therefore it makes it more flexible and easy to use. A very important aspect is that for the same SAP object, you cannot run them in parallel, as they are strictly mutually exclusive. That is, you must decide on one of the two alternatives. In SAP standard delivery, no procedure with classification is initially available. As soon as you create a procedure with classification, the procedure without classification is deactivated automatically. In other words, you can't run PR without classification and PR with classification at the same time for PR. But if you would like to set a procedure without classification for the PR and set a procedure with classification for the PO, that is possible. Now, let's go a little bit also through the key terms before we go through the setup of the release procedures. First of all, we have release conditions or criteria. This one determines which release strategy applies for a particular purchasing document. For example, if the value of a requisition item is 100 USD, a certain strategy may be required. If the value of the item is 10,000 US dollars, let's say a different strategy may be required. If purchasing documents fulfill release conditions, they must be approved before they can be processed further. Uh, we also have release code point. This is a two-character key that represents an individual or department responsible for giving the approval. Each person involved in the release procedure signifies an approval in a release transaction using the person-specific release code. We also have release prerequisites. This sets the order in which approval must take place. For example, a general manager may need to approve a document before the vice president approves it. I also have release status indicator, which represent the current status of the item or document. And this status can be blocked or released. For example, if the document isn't fully approved, it may have been blocked. Before we jump into the system to set the release procedure without classification, please see the implementation guide menu pad. Here we'll find all the 5 steps that we will need to go through in order for our procedure to be set into the system. Um, and let me present you the business case. This release strategy is only possible for the PR as conveyed before. And we want to have 2 levels of approval. First will be the team leader, afterwards the manager. In order for the PRs to be available to the second level of approval, that is the manager, they must be first approved by the team leader. The PRs which will be subject to the release procedure will be all PRs with material group L001 and with an item value above or equal to 500 USD, and all PRs with material group L002 with an item value above or equal to $600. And the PRs will have the following status depending on the approval given or not. So blocked if no approval was given. If the leader has approved the PR, then they will be released for RFQ only, but not for PO. And once the manager also is granting his approval, then the PRs will be fully approved. That means that they can be referenced in both RFQs and POs. And now let's go into the system. And I'll just go to SPRO. Um, on here, under materials management, we have purchasing, um, purchase requisition, and under purchase requisition release procedure. And first we can set up the procedure without classification. Like I said, this is specific only for PR. It cannot be used for the other purchasing documents. As it is set up on item level. Um, and as you can see here, we have the steps, all these 5 steps we have to go through. We'll first set the release code. The release code, it can be a person or a department approving the PR. Who is behind these release codes is controlled via authorization. They can, of course, release or reject a purchasing document. And I'll just gonna set 2 new entries, code 02 for the team leader and 03 for manager. Now save it. And we have the 2 release codes that we're going to use in our example. Okay, now let's go to the next step, setting the release indicator. I will set 2 release indicators. R, first of all, R for released. That's press on new entries. Just gonna in R and description PR released. Under details, we have several options, and I'm gonna check all of them. Uh, what they mean is, first of all, for MRP means that the purchase requisition cannot be changed by MRP. Released for quotation. This indicator specified that quotations and RFQ may be processed with reference to purchase requisitions. If this checkbox is selected, the purchase requisition is available for RFQ and quotation processing. And released for issue of PO, this means that once it is checked, POs can be generated with reference to the purchase requisitions. We also have field selection key. You can use the field selection key to determine whether certain fields in a purchase requisition may or may not be changed with approval. For example, let's say you have a business need to prevent changes to the requested quantity in a purchase requisition after the release indicator has been set in the PR. So for this requirement, you would have to configure the order quantity field as display only in the field selection key. I will just choose one field selection key out of several options that we have here. Um, the next part is changes after start of release process, and we have here changeability, where we also have more options. So this field defines how the system reacts if a purchase document is changed after the start of the release procedure. So you can set it on one, cannot be changed, but you can also set it as changeable. For example, I'll just choose for changeable new release in case a new strategy or value changed. And the next field, value change, specifies the percentage by which the value of the purchase requisition can be changed after the release procedure has started. So if the requisition is changed by more than the specified limit entered in this field, the requisition is again subject to a release procedure. So I'm just gonna set it on 10 and click on save. Okay, and now we'll just gonna add one more release indicator, so new entry, and I'm just gonna put one like X for locked. Okay, and that's it. So next step is assigning the release indicators. Here you can see that we have to set a release strategy, then establish what how many levels of approval we need, and based on the level of approval, assign the release and the release indicator. So basically, this meaning how the purchase requisition can be processed further, depending on whether an approval has been granted or not. So I'm just gonna press on new entries, and let's say I'm gonna define release strategy R1. For the first level, if there is no approval given by any release code, then the status will be the release indicator I'm going to select is blocked. After I will put mm, here, I will mark with an X. So that meaning that the release status has been set for the release code 1. And here I will choose the release indicator 2. As you can see here, 2 is no 1, sorry, 1. I'll put 1. Just to go a little bit back, just to explain what 1 is. Um, it's not set in the previous step because there was already set there, but I'm just gonna quickly show you. So if we go back to the previous step, okay, let's go. Purchasing requisition here, and we have release procedure without classification. And here in the release indicator, 1, request for quotation. So in details, as you can see, it means that if this released indicator means that this Purchase requisition can be referenced further in another in an RFQ or quotation. So that being said, I'm gonna set also another release indicator. Uh, this time it will require that both release codes approve the PR, and the release indicator that I'm gonna assign in this case is R, so PR released. And that being said, I'm gonna save. Okay, and there we have it. We have successfully assigned the release indicators. Next, we're gonna set the release points prerequisites. So in this step will configure the sequence of release codes and specify the prerequisites purchase requisitions must fulfill before they can be released. So I'm gonna set the release strategy with two release codes. So our release strategy R1 release code 02, and here we'll select release status will be set, and the same release strategy with release code 03. So I can also select it. Okay, and here we're gonna set release status 02 as prerequisite, and afterwards release status will be set, and we can save it. Okay, and what we have set here basically is that the release code 02, the first level of release, has no prerequisites, which means it can approve the purchase requisition. But release code 03, however, does have a prerequisite, and that is that the purchase requisition must be first approved by release code 02. Uh, and afterwards, it can be approved also by the release code 03. Once you have set the release strategy, you can also um, okay, we can also simulate it. So simulate release. So yeah, we can see if it works, and it works. So there we have it. We have successfully set also the release points prerequisites. The last step is the determination of release strategy. In this step, we'll define when a purchase requisition should be considered for a release procedure and which release strategy is applicable. So, as previously mentioned, we can set these four criteria in order to trigger to decide when a release strategy is triggered. So basically, I'm just gonna input two entries. I'm not gonna select an account assignment, but I will put a material group. Okay, a plant. Value of the purchase requisition, I would like to be higher than 500 USD, and the currency. Gonna insert also the currency and the release strategy that we have just created, R1. Okay, and now second. Okay, now new entry also. Let's put a second material group, plant. Okay, I don't know, maybe $600 this time, and the same release strategy. Okay, and save it. Okay, and that's it. Now we have these two entries, and based on this criteria, the release procedure will be triggered. And now that our release strategy without classification has been set for the PR, let's put it to the test and create a new PR. So just a quick reminder, I'm just gonna open again um, the implementation um, guide menu. Let's see, and just to quickly show you again what are the prerequisites for triggering release procedure. Okay, let's see. So okay, we have set this too. So we have to have a material group, L001, for example, this plan value, so gross value of the purchase requisition has to be um, high, equal or above $500. So in order to trigger the release strategy that we have created. So I'm going to create a PR with these characteristics. So I'm just going to select the material which I know is from that material group. Okay, okay, just gonna select another delivery date. Okay, so we have the material group, we have the plant, we have the value, the total value, 9,000 dollars. So we can save this PR. Okay, so the purchase requisition has been created. Let's look at it. Okay, and we can see here that a new tab has appeared, release strategy. And we can see here that no release code has been set yet. So the release indicator is blocked at this point. In order to release this PR, we're gonna go to transaction ME54N just to also see how the release codes are changing after each approval. Okay, so we have, okay, this is, let's say, my purchase requisitions. Okay, this is the last one. Okay, so uh, we have release indicator block at this point. No release code has been set. We're gonna release it. Okay, now the release indicator is 1, and we can also release for 03. So the PR is fully released. So we can save it. Okay, and that's about it for the release procedure without classification. Please stay tuned for the second part of this video where I will present how we can set up also the release procedure with classification for PR. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.